Great, amazing day. It's me, Lucia Gabriela, and you are here in Lucia Gabriela TV, the place to be where we come to learn and explore everything we can about how to master our love life, our relationship, and our sexuality, and also how to transcend emotional and sexual trauma. Today's interview is going to be amazing. I'm so excited because we have an amazing, incredible speaker that he's actually in the other part of the world right now. And I'm so honored that he woke up early in the morning, his time, to be here in the afternoon here in the US. So his name is Eyal. And his last name, he can tell it to you because I can't pronounce it. But I'm going to share with you his bio so you have an idea who he is and also to the topic that we're going to be diving deep today. So, Eyal is a sexual empowerment coach, author, and a speaker. He helps holistic professionals harness their sexual energy to transform their creativity, business, and well being. He created and leads the sexual empowerment movement, which integrates sexual education into coaching, wellness, and business. Agile best-selling book Orgasm Unleashed, Your Guide to Pleasure, Healing, and Power, was endorsed by leading female sexual educators and described it as the best female orgasm book I have ever read. So thank you, Agile, for coming and joining us today. Such an honor having you here.
Good evening and good morning, and I'm very happy to be here. I want to actually bring the book and show you the beautiful cover of the book. Can we do that for a second?
Yes, go ahead.
Just wait. Yeah, it's what I call a real book.
I love it. I had to get it. I haven't got it yet.
So that's the heart in the yoni. That's we had the competition and a survey and stuff around the cover of the book, and that's what's the readers of my blog and stuff chose. So
I love the heart and the yoni. It is really, it's beautiful and how do you say, like feminine too, right? Like just connecting. So thank you for saying yes to this interview. And today's topic, you sent me a whole list, like 5 topics, but really I really wanted to dive into the 4. And the 2 topics that really were my top 2 were the one that we're going to be talking about today, how sexual empowerment really can transform your life. And also the other one that I wanted to put in there, but the title didn't let me to put it because it was so long, is open relationship, bliss and horrors, joys and horrors. And because this is a channel where we come and explore how can we master our sexual life, this is so important for me to start with the topic of sexual empowerment. So if we can just start and diving into this conversation, please share with us what are you really meaning with sexual empowerment? How sexual empowerment can transform people's life?
So there is a belief in society that we are all sexually liberated, and the 60s and the pill and the sexual revolution. So there's this, you see it on TV, you see it in advertisement, you see there's like, it's not like 100 years ago when everything was like more Puritanism, like English Victorian Puritanism and so on. So there's a illusion of sexual freedom and expression. Okay, but actually I claim that society is sexually repressed and people are sexually repressed. I have an article I posted in the Huffington Post, which is called exactly that: Are we sexually repressed and we don't know it? And the idea is that when somebody is not really connected to their sexuality, it would affect all other areas of their life. So when I have clients come to me for coaching, it's like they sometimes say, it's like, oh, my life is amazing, I only have a problem with my sexuality. And after a few minutes of talking and seeing where they are in their life, they actually share, it's like, no, actually I have issues all around in my life and the sexuality is the reason. So they're not where they want to be in their job, in their career, in their business. Their creativity is stuck. Sometimes their self-confidence and self-worth is diminished, and a lot of other things, their health and so on. So I've developed a real integrated approach of integrating sexuality into all areas of life. And the idea is that once, specifically a woman, but also a man, I work with both. Once a person integrates the sexuality, they have, first of all, much more self-love available to them. Because really one of the major issues I see with people, and also that I work on myself, is self-love and self-acceptance. So sexuality is like that, is one of the areas when you can really practice this and express this. So when a person is self-loving, when they're connecting to this sexual energy, which is the most basic energy and the strongest energy that we have, everything opens, everything transforms, everything becomes bigger and better and easier than before. And yeah, does that answer your question? Or we can obviously I can talk about that more.
I agree with you in the whole aspect that when you integrate the empowerment of living in that grace and that bliss of your sexuality, your whole life can just go like amazing, because what you do great in one thing in your life, you do great in everything else in many levels. And sexuality is one of those amazing life forces and like amazing areas of our life that really help us to discover how powerful we truly are as the energetic beings and as multidimensional beings. And I love that, we started the conversation of how sexuality is an empowerment. It really can help you to grow in so many levels. And
I have an example, if I may.
mm-hmm.
So imagine, usually it's the easiest is to give examples for women. I think most of your viewers are women, or is that balance between men and women?
We have a 65% women and 45 men.
Okay, good. So I'll just give a woman's example, but it applies to men as well. So imagine a woman who's, has a career, has a business, is doing okay in life, but her sex life is either bad or non-existent. So she either having like bad sex, and her partner comes really fast and really doesn't touch her the way that she wants to be touched, and she never orgasms or hardly ever orgasms, and doesn't feel good about her genitals, doesn't feel good about her body. So externally she might be wearing nice clothes and makeup, and she looks attractive, but inside she's dry, she's disconnected, she's unsatisfied, unsatisfied with herself, unsatisfied with her body, sexuality, femininity. So some of these women tend to be successful, but they become successful by being kind of like controlling and overbearing and micromanaging and nitpicky and so on. So they become, instead of becoming strong women, they become like strong men. So they try to operate in the corporate environment, which is very masculine, and the business environment, which is masculine. And they do it from a masculine place. And they might be semi-successful, but then they might be aware that they reach a kind of glass ceiling. So they're not really where they want to be in life. And they feel that their creativity is stunted because it's like they're not connected to their soul. They're not connecting to the deepest parts of themselves. They might have issues around connecting with other women, so they might have either superficial relationships and friendships with other women, or maybe they feel disconnected from other women. So yeah, I think I mentioned self-confidence, body image, also health and wellness. So many women that I talk with have issues with like throat infections, thyroid issues, and by the way, women have much more thyroid issues than men. According to Tantra, that's related to Vishuddha, the throat chakra, that women usually have a blockage in. And this this is an expression of them not expressing themselves, their sexual sounds, but also their needs and their views and their wants. So women will have issues with thyroid, they would have issues with digestion, that has to do with keeping a lot of tension in the belly area, and obviously they would have a lot of issues in their reproductive system. So there's actually some people who say that one of the main reasons for cysts and for cancers in the whole female reproductive system is because of the disconnection of women with their femininity, their sexuality, their orgasm. Because
Yes.
I look at it like, think about it like water. You take a clean pool and you put fresh water in, and the water is fresh and beautiful. Don't touch the water, don't stir the water, don't do anything with the water for 1 or 2 months, and the water will become stale. So this is sexual energy. When sexual energy is there and it's not being expressed, when it's being suppressed, it's basically coalesces, and the body kind of like puts it into cells, and this is why all of these vaginal issues and female reproductive issues are happening. Okay, and there's effects on everything in a person's life when they're not connected to their sexuality. On the other hand, and I had such women come to me, and I'm describing people that I know and worked with, once they start working on their sexuality, everything transforms. So first of all, they're able to reach these amazing orgasms, and we might, if we have time, talk a little bit about what amazing orgasms actually mean. So they have this kind of orgasms that leave them not depleted and hypersensitive like some kinds of orgasms, but they leave them full, they leave them charged, they leave them, vibrating for hours and sometimes even days. So imagine you as a woman listening to this, if you have amazing sex either with yourself or with your partner first thing in the morning or in the evening, and then you go to work. How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you interact with clients, colleagues, bosses, and so on? So you will be shining. You will be, you probably have had this, it's like your girlfriends come and ask you, it's like, what happened to you? Shining and stuff. And you're like, yeah, I had just, this amazing sex last night or something. So this would affect how creative you are, because sexual energy is creative energy. So this, and by the way, you can be creative with everything. I really hope that my accountant is really creative in the tax solutions that he finds for me. Okay, you can be a programmer, and be creative, and everybody who has a business needs to be creative to some level. It would affect obviously your energy levels and your mental focus, because when a woman is either too horny and that's not being expressed, or she doesn't have libido and all of that sexually is really, really repressed, she would start having issues with physical energy and alertness and mental clarity and so on. It's like being premenstrual, for the whole month. And once a woman starts moving that energy is available to her mind, it's available to her heart, it's available to her body. So I have seen amazing transformations, and I can give a few actual examples of women who, through the power of sexual energy and sexual practices, have transformed everything in their life. But yeah, that's the introduction.
Yes, because when we start working with sexuality, and we start working with sexuality, the first thing that we have to work with is the aspect of shame and all the conditions that we have been living upon, and all the misconceptions and belief systems that around sexuality. And working with sexuality and working in this realm, and that whole empowerment, it kind of like help you to liberate yourself. To me, it's like such a transformation journey, not just of empowerment, but like you said, the liberation, the transformation and alchemy, because it helps you to really release and transmute and transcend all these other energies that are not part of you, all this mindset and belief system that are not yours, and you become stronger and blossoming, and your beauty is like, it's like being a beautiful flower, a rose, and then you have all this stuff on top of the rose that you're never going to see that rose. And, being that sexual journey of, being in yourself, transformation, it's like liberating that flower, that rose to emanate the beautiful smells and the beauty and the colors and the radiance of it. And that's why I like being the path of sexual transformation, sexual empowerment, and I call it sexual alchemy, is just so liberating. Um, I love the fact that you mentioned some of the pathological illness that women and men can go through if they are really stuck, in their sexual energy, and their whole sexuality is in like stale. And I was just, it's interesting because actually today I was writing a post about it, and it's true when we don't honor ourselves as women, as feminine, our body, our womb, our sensuality, and our sexuality, and we fall into these all patriarchy, toxic belief systems that our bodies are seen, our sexuality is seen, and blood is we are not pure when we are in a period, menstrual cycle, and all these things that women have put up with. You create this dissociation, like you say, dissociation from the body itself. Who wants to be in a body as a woman with these whole conditions? Who wants to be in a body that if you're bleeding, they call you unclean and impure, and if you touch
Right.
somebody.
In Hebrew, it's related to the word abominable. So
Mhm.
that's.
Yeah, and it's like, who wants to be a woman if you're gonna be putting all these BS around
Yeah.
your sexuality? No wonder why I always say, no wonder why we always have all these tumors and cysts and all these women issues that that doesn't belong to us. They're not, um, yeah. So let's talk about the orgasmic aspect of it. Like when you talk about women orgasm, like I got intrigued.
So maybe one thing to say as another introduction or whatever, it's like yeah, I am a man, and some women will be like, oh, well, why is a man talking with us about female sexuality? He doesn't have a vagina and this and that, and how can he know? And so I just want to address that. Let's address the elephant in the room. I am a man. I'm a very unshaven man as well.
Well, you really read women's mind, huh?
I like to read.
Because
I like
that's
to
the
read that.
question that everybody can ask. Yeah, that's the question everybody will ask.
Yeah, I love reading women's bodies as well, not just their minds. So yeah, so I'm not a woman, but I have literally a lifetime of experiences with women. Anything with making out for hours and hours and hours and hours my whole teenagehood, because I didn't have sex until I was 20, and I learned so much by reaching that point in the neck when the woman goes like, oh. And then having a lot of conscious sexual experiences with women, and studying tantra and staying in a yoga ashram, yoga community, tantra community in Thailand for many years, and having done tons of workshops and trainings and being initiated by women into this work. So my work has been endorsed by female sexual educators, that read the book and commented generally about my work. So women like Leila Martin, that is starting to be a really big sexual educator right now. Women like Bonnie Bliss and Elise in Australia. Many women, and I'm mentioning that it's women because those are women who said, it's like, oh, this man knows what he's talking about. And another thing to say is that I'm never telling anybody what to do. It's like I'm sharing with you an idea, and I'm sharing with you practices, and you are welcome to follow them if you wish. So, having said that, does that make sense? Yeah, orgasms. So, society is conditioned around orgasm as a peak, and orgasm as a moment. So you see usually an American movie, and they date, and then they go to his house or her house, they take off their clothes, they jump on each other, it becomes faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, and then both of them come together and shout and scream, and then the man rolls over and he smokes a cigarette, or used to smoke a cigarette back when it was okay. And then the bed sheet is magically covering the man's waists, but the woman's breasts, because obviously you cannot show. So the bed sheet is doing this in bed. And this is what usually people refer to as the orgasm, the peak, the crescendo, the resolution. There's another word that escapes me, but basically it's a peak. Okay. And this is because some women's orgasms are very similar to a man's orgasm, to a man's ejaculatory orgasm. And by the way, I teach men how to have whole body, multiple orgasms for hours without ejaculating. So if a man ejaculates, his pleasure builds up very fast. He has an orgasm for 5 or 7 seconds, and then he drops. So mentally he drops, physically he drops, his erection drops, his interest in you drops, and women usually report, like, after a man ejaculates, it's like he's disconnected from them. And there's also a female orgasm, which is very similar to that. So most women, if they even experience orgasm, they experience orgasm as something that comes from effort, it comes from rubbing, it comes from, a very strong vibrator. And it's an orgasm that builds fast, and then it explodes, it's very, very strong, and then immediately it drops. Again, by the way, I'm generalizing a lot, but just bear with me, okay? There's many, and most women who experience this kind of orgasm. So if you ever had an orgasm and you felt afterwards that your clit is hypersensitive, kind of like this feeling of like, don't touch me, lay off my clit now. Do you recognize this feeling, Lucia? This you maybe don't experience this. There's some women that don't experience this, but most women, after really strong clitoral stimulation, their clit will become, in the orgasm, the clit will become hypersensitive. And for some of them, it will be for a few seconds or a few minutes, and for some women, they will be done for hours. It's like their libido and their interest in sex would drop. They would feel like they are done, but not done in a completed, fulfilled, nourished way, but done like a man is done when he ejaculates. Women would share with me these experiences, and I have this talks with women nearly every day. So they would say, it's like afterwards I feel emotionally depleted. I feel a bit. It's like guilty in some way, because I gave myself a cheap kind of like a cheap pleasure, and not that any pleasure is bad, but it's actually a pleasure that depletes you rather than fulfills you. It's like a little bit like junk food. Okay, so you enjoy very much for a few seconds, but then you feel bad, and it doesn't really sustain your body. Some women would even have it even stronger, so they would lose their whole interest, and they would. This woman told me, like, she needs to, she can't stay with her partner then. She feels like she needs to literally physically leave her partner and go and wash herself, as if like she's dirty or something. So yeah, this is one kind of orgasm, and some women might recognize that they're having that. Then there's another kind of orgasm. So this kind of orgasm is called the explosive orgasm, because you have energy and then the energy explodes and you lose it. Okay. Some women will not be able to have sex, so they will do it maybe for their partner, but they would not be really into it. Okay, big generalization, but just that's usually what I hear. The other kind of orgasm is the implosive orgasm. And the implosive orgasm is exactly the opposite of this, of what I just described. So the implosive orgasm, that, by the way, might come from any place in the body, including the clit, by the way, we can get back to it in a moment. The implosive orgasm is an experience, it's a state. Instead of being this 10 seconds, 5 seconds of the explosive orgasm, the implosive one is a state, which means it takes longer to build, and once you orgasm, it takes longer to orgasm, and then afterwards it takes longer to come out of that. It's an experience which is more like our orgasm. So if the explosive orgasm is more like my orgasm, and it's like women It's like women reach and there's like an effort. It's like they're trying to grab the orgasm. And you hear it in their sound, by the way. You're like, it's like there's an effort there. The implosive orgasm, there's a relaxing into it. So even the sounds will be like, okay, so that's a much easier sound, much freer sound, much fuller sound. And then with these orgasms as well, it would feel like our orgasm, it would feel much more a whole body experience rather than a genital experience. It would feel more emotional in a good way. It would feel more spiritual. There would be a feeling of union. And by the way, the pleasure is not just that it's stronger, it's different. I say that pleasure has many colors and shapes. So the pleasure, it's like it's rounded. The feeling of the orgasm is more round. If the clitoral explosive orgasms are very sharp, so it's a very strong ta-da orgasm. The implosive orgasm, the whole body orgasm, they're more round. They go on by themselves. Okay, so a woman can go into an orgasmic state, and again, I don't know how much time we have for this, but I talk and teach about the 1 hour orgasm and very long orgasmic states. And a woman can literally go into an orgasmic peak like that, but stay in that peak for an hour. And when most people hear that, they think like it's either impossible, or this woman once told me, 1 hour orgasm, it sounds, what's the word? It sounds tiring. Exhausting, yeah, that's the word. It sounds exhausting. And she said that because she's used to orgasms that are depleting. So those clitoral explosive orgasms, many times they are depleting. And instead, if you go into an orgasmic state like this, it's actually energizing, and for days later, you're still shining. And
Yes.
you can have like more orgasms and more sex and stuff, but also in another level, you feel deeply satisfied, deeply nourished, deeply seen, deeply connected. So I'm not saying that the first kind of orgasms are bad. I'm just saying that they have some side effects that are not really serving for women. Yes, you wanted to say something, please.
Yeah, it is a journey. It is a journey going from like the explosive orgasms to the in orgasms to getting to that state of like the multi orgasms for like the whole hour. It's a journey. And I love the fact that you pointed out about the sound, because I really want to point out to our viewers that it's really, really, when it comes to sexuality, we have to become aware of everything about ourselves and really be the master. To be able to be the master of our sexuality, we really have to be fully present and conscious of everything that's happening in our experience in sexuality. And I love that you pointed out the sound, because you can tell, because being in this realm of sexuality, you can tell when somebody's faking it. You can tell when somebody's having an emotional attachment to the orgasm. You can tell when somebody's truly not there. You can tell when somebody's, like you say, holding into the orgasm because it comes from a place of lack. Like you can really, the sound of a woman or a man or going through the experience can, that 2 second sound, when you're a good listener and be fully present in that experience, you can tell so much about your partner. And it's beautiful that you also pointed out that when you experience, because I have experienced our multi-orgasms, and I usually do it with my practice, orgasmic breath, which no even sexual stimulation whatsoever, penetration. But it's like once you awaken and remember how to open those portals of orgasmic expansion, you can tap into it and you can be like bathed in it for like hours. And sometimes even go there, sometimes feel scary because you're like, oh my God, I can be here forever. but yeah, it's not like, the sound, it's like you said, it's blissful. It's just very unique. It's like peaceful, blissful, heartfelt. There's no that sound, like you said, of trying to grab into the orgasm because, oh my God, I'm not gonna feel this again. So I love the fact that you point out the sound is truly, truly important. And for our viewers, for us to become masters of our sexuality, of our life, we really have to be present and pay attention to all these little things that we're sharing here.
Yeah, and I love that you're commenting on the fact that I mentioned sound. And when I wrote, Orgasm Unleashed, I had two female editors to compensate for my masculine approach. And the main editor said, she said, "Oh, I want your chapters to be like similar length. The sound chapter is so big. Why is that?" And I said, "Because it's so important."
Yeah.
So I have so many exercises and techniques and stuff around sound. And the biggest thing or one of the biggest things that I've seen with women's orgasm and why they are not having deeper orgasmic experiences is because they stop their sounds. Mm-hmm. So one of the main things that I do when I make love, when I hold sexual awakening sessions, and by the way, I hold sexual activation sessions through Skype as well, and get women that I don't even touch to experience this, half an hour-long orgasmic states. And the first thing that I do with them is to get them to breathe into their belly, to open their jaw, and to make sounds. And sometimes it's like I see that the pleasure is there. I feel that the orgasm is there, but it's not being expressed. So I sometimes would make a sound to activate a woman's sound. And once I do that, and once she does that, suddenly her orgasms just go to another level. Mm-hmm. And also, I've met, women who say, it's like, "Oh, I'm not one of those women who make sounds." And it's like, for me, it's all internal. And I'm like, yeah, and maybe you just have guilt and shame around expressing sounds. And maybe you are stopping yourself because you're not allowing yourself to be seen and heard. And maybe you have judgment around these women who are shouting and screaming. So I'm in the process of publishing an article called "What Does Orgasmic Really Mean?" Okay, so women who have like really strong orgasms wouldn't be able to focus their gaze for minutes. They wouldn't be able to consciously control their body. They wouldn't be able to walk out of the bed. They wouldn't be able to check their Facebook. They wouldn't be able to speak. They wouldn't be able to drive for like an hour. They wouldn't be able to walk. They wouldn't be able, like, I sometimes have to like give them water and hold the bottle for them because they go into such a state where it's not that they're disconnected from their body like rape victims are, but they go into actually a spiritual state where they are not their body. So sometimes the body is doing its thing and they'll be shaking and convulsing and so on. But they're in a state where they are witnessing their body instead of trying to do something. Because so many women and men obviously are trying to do something. And even in the Tantra world, I see many people and they're like pushing and doing and strong and this and that. So sometimes I would lay a woman on the table and I would, just by holding space for her, or, over Skype, just by holding space for her, just by her not needing to do anything, not needing to perform, she would start shaking and she would start orgasming just because of that. Mm-hmm. So yes, there are many techniques that I share in the book: breath, sound, movement, visualizations, positions, different kind of touch, and so on. But the main thing is to relax into the orgasm and not to push into the orgasm. So that's.
I always say that going into the experience and orgasm, for me, like in my exploration, sometimes I have felt that it could be a little depending on what are you're healing, or what kind of energy of emotions or belief system you're transcending. Like you mentioned, like the shame of speaking up, or the shame of just being loud, because a lot of women and men have that shame of being loud. And sometimes when you dive into the orgasmic experience, you are facing a lot of the things that you need to transcend and let go. And I always say that when you are doing transformational alchemical work in that space of orgasmic energy, it's beyond powerful, because the moment that you allow yourself to bathe into this orgasmic experience and allow yourself to face the shame of speaking, screaming it out loud and screaming to the universe source, like, I am here. I'm allowing myself to exist and my voice to be, existent in this universe. When you face that and you allow yourself to go there, the whole healing happen, and that becomes transformational in your life too. Because when you get out of that space, that time, that experience, you're able to go into the world and be able to now, like, speak your truth and share what you really want to share. You're not shameful of being seen anymore. And I really feel like being in the orgasmic journey is one of the most alchemical space and sacred space that we can do deep alchemical work. That's my experience of that. That's why I dive, not just pleasure and feeling great, which I also dive into that and I go like, oh, feels amazing. But also it's funny because one time is, you are into the experience of orgasmic energy, you're feeling amazing, but all of a sudden I'm facing this thing about like, who am I to experience this? And I have to work and I have to face that and transcend it on the spot, because it's like, yeah, I am more than good enough to experience this in my life. And I feel like orgasms, I'm really passionate about orgasms, because I always even say having orgasmic life, having orgasmic day. I love the word orgasms to begin with.
Yeah, and just to add to what you said, it's like, and I like your use of the word alchemy, and I use a lot of alchemical processes in sex magic, and so I would help a woman go into an orgasmic state, and then when she's in an orgasmic state, I would positively brainwash her. I would make really strong suggestions and hypnotic suggestions for her to take that energy into her life. Mm-hmm. So I would tell her, now that the sounds you're expressing, you will be able to express yourself out in the world. You will be heard. You will be seen. You will attract the clients, the friends, and the lovers, and the man that you're looking for. Okay, so in that state of orgasm, which is a very open state and a very energetic state where you can actually manifest things. So literally had women that said, it's like, yeah, after the session, it's like what we did during the session, which was a very sexual experience, translated to something which was totally not seemingly unrelated to sexuality. Okay, so one of the memes that I have and I love is sexuality is not just about sex. And this is really important for us to remember. It's like, it's like, yes, sure, we want to have those 1 hour orgasms and, the 20 or 30 or 50 different kinds of orgasms and great sex and relationship and so on. But this is about your life. This is about your creativity. This is about sharing your gift with the world. This is about serving people. This is about being creative. This is about your connection with your community. This is about your spiritual practice. This is about your health. This is about your children. It's like, what kind of a mother are you if you're carrying sexual shame around the body, not loving yourself, not accepting yourself, judging yourself all the time, maybe having negativity around men, maybe have negativity around even women. It's like, so what kind of role model are you being for both your daughters and your sons? Yeah. Okay, and by the way, men as well. If you're the kind of man who have issues with the feminine, which kind of father would you be? So really, this is not just about sex. So I wanna just share one practice. It's like for me, it's like I always want to give the biggest value that I can to the viewers or to listeners. So is it okay if I just share one practice with?
Yes, go ahead.
With the viewers. So, because for me, everything needs to be practical. So although I'm a little bit like a philosopher of sex, I like, just open the window. It's a very beautiful day. Although I'm a philosopher of sex, I really like things to be practical. So I want to give people concrete practices that would actually make a difference. So there's there's something that I call the secret of great sex. So many people are looking for solutions. They're looking for techniques. They're looking for magic pills. They're looking, it's like you look at women's magazines and it's like 5 foods that would make you orgasmic, or 5 positions that would ensure an internal orgasm, or the men's magazines are exactly like that. So I would say that first of all, sexuality starts with you, and the secret to having great sex is having great sex with yourself. So this is not just masturbation, because again, how many women, for them, masturbation is rubbing their clit for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, having that orgasm, and that literally puts them to sleep. They actually talked with women who use that as a sleep pill. And by the way, there's no problem with the clit. I love the clit, and what I teach, it's like, no, don't go attack me like some clit hating man. But what I teach women is to enjoy clitoral stimulation for hours and turn that into internal and whole body orgasms. So instead of having that hypersensitivity, feeling done and all of this stuff, you can actually internalize and expand that experience. So I don't call it masturbation, I call it self-pleasuring or self-loving. It's about taking, I would say, at least 10 minutes and if possible 20 or 30 minutes every day to, first of all, connect with yourself, to touch yourself, to hold yourself like you want to be loved, like you want to be touched. And then bring awareness to your genitals as well, bring awareness to your vagina as well. And then explore internal stimulation. Internal stimulation, first of all, with your fingers, and then with either a penis-shaped vegetable or a dildo. And this is so important because so many women are so focused on the external, and men are focused on the external, because that's what you see in porn. So I would literally be with a woman, and she would be rubbing and rubbing, and I'm like, hey, darling, just hold off for a second. Okay, look, you have a whole body. I'm touching you in your back and you're orgasming. Okay, so again, it's not that it's bad, but it limits a woman experience very much. And instead, remember, ladies, you have a vagina. You don't just have a clitoris. Okay, so allow yourself to explore yourself internally. In the same way, it's like, do you want a man or your partner, by the way? I'm hetero in my experience, but do you want your man or your woman, your partner, to just rub your clit, or do you want them to penetrate you as well? So if you want that from your lover, give that to yourself as well. And when I talk with women and I give them their practice, because I basically put everything in the book, but people who read the book, sometimes it's not enough for them because they have resistance to loving themselves. So I would talk with a woman and she says, I'm having fucking guilt. Sorry, can we say that word on air?
That's right.
Well, we just did. A woman would say, I have such resistance to finding the time and actually pleasuring myself. I have such resistance to touching my genitals. I have such a strong resistance to putting something inside me, And she'll be like, yeah, my intuition tells me, my body tells me that I don't want anything inside me. I don't want to put the dildo or whatever inside me. And that would happen days and days and days and days. And what I would say is that maybe this is actually a blockage to go through and to heal yourself from. Because why would your body wouldn't want your fingers inside you? So a lot of things come up when you have a self-pleasuring with an internal stimulation practice. And what I would usually suggest, and I have a Facebook group when this is one of the practices that women go through. It's called Sexual Empowerment for Women on Facebook. The Secret Business Edge, by the way, that's the byline of that group. So women commit to at least 20 minutes for at least 30 days of doing this practice. And for many women, their orgasmic experiences and their sex life changes because of this practice. So avoid clitoral explosive orgasms for 30 days. And I work with women that after a week of doing this, suddenly they feel alive, suddenly they feel horny. Women that didn't have desire before, when they start self-pleasuring for a week or two without exploding that energy, become magnets for men. By the way, this is one of the reasons women avoid this, because they are afraid of becoming desirable and seen by men. And again, another conversation. You know, so avoid those explosive orgasms and really give yourself the love, the touch, the connection that you want to explore. So yeah, that's when people ask me what is the most important experience, practice or technique, this is it. This is really it. You know, and yes, then you can play with breath and sound and movement and all of this stuff. But first of all, establish connection with yourself.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we all want, like men and women. You know, men want connection and they want that touch, that connect, you know, to heart, and women want that connection too. And like you said, the best place to start is connecting first with ourselves and be able to give ourselves permission to embody that connection.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. So before we wrap it up to an amazing conversation, if you have a few more minutes, if you think that the topic will be way too long, then we can make another session on that. But when you talk about the open relationship, because some people were curious about your opinion on that, about the joys and horrors. So if you can just, you know, whatever time you have, like.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So so it's like, do we have 3 hours to talk about this? But okay, let's see what's the most basic thing I can say about this. Okay. So no relationship, no one kind of relationship is good for all of the people all of the time. Some kind of relationships are good for some people some of the time. Mm-hmm. In society, we are brainwashed for monogamy. And by the way, I wanted to say first that I'm not telling anybody to have open relationships or whatever. What I'm saying is that understand that we are brainwashed for monogamy. That monogamy is a social norm. That monogamy is a Christian norm. It's a religious norm. You know, the old Judeo-Christian religions, okay, are about monogamy. I mean, Islam, it did have this thing about, or does have this thing about multiple wives, but for most people in the world, it's about one man, one woman for life, you know, the Catholic marriage. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that the rates of infidelity are huge. So something between 40 to 60% of people in the world are unfaithful throughout their marriage. And by the way, men and women. It's not like, men are cheaters. No, women are cheaters as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, and again, scientific surveys that I can send somebody the link to. So this is a symptom of a problem, and the problem is that monogamous relationships do not necessarily serve everyone, and many people have a yearning to explore sexually and romantically with other people. An open relationship is a range. Open relationship doesn't mean that you don't have any relationship. It doesn't mean that you just fuck with anybody. It might mean that, but there's many levels and many options for open relationships. Okay, so for example, and I always like to give examples from my own life because everything that I teach, or nearly everything that I teach, is stuff that I experienced and experiencing right now. So I'm still learning what I'm teaching. I'm still learning about self-love. I'm still learning about relationships. I'm not like some guru, Shri, whatever, you know, pretending to be anything. So one of my relationships, one of my dear friends who's also a lover, she is married with children, and her husband knows that we're seeing each other, okay? And we are having non-genital sex. We're having very passionate interaction, but that's like non-genital. So both of us are keeping our underwear on. By the way, I never wear underwear, just with her, I wear underwear just so like my genitals are covered. And both of us go into amazing orgasmic states and orgasmic experiences. And this woman is not just a fuck friend, she's also one of my best friends. Okay, so this is an example of an open relationship. Okay, open relationship might be that you as a man or as a woman have casual sex with people. Okay, so I really like the connections which are more meaningful and more well connected. But you can have different levels. So you can have, for some people, it means dancing sexually with other people. Because my parents wouldn't dance sexually with other people. No, for some people, it's like you will not touch another man, you will not touch another woman. But you can also go into a place of exploring sensuality with other people. And what I would say is that there's many levels to that. Do you have a few more minutes to talk about this?
Yeah.
I would say that if you or your partner have a yearning for that, or if you and your partner have a resistance to that, this is something to look at. So for many people, they're not interested in open relationships, and they don't need it because their relationship is so good. And it's not just so good, let me rephrase that. It's like their values and their experience is about monogamous relationship, and that's totally okay. And again, I'm not telling anybody to open the relationship. So if you're totally fulfilled by your partner, that's great. But so many people expect all of their needs, sexual, personal, relational, life needs, to be fulfilled by their partner. And I can see like you are reacting to what I'm saying. And that is a very limited, a very childish, basically, approach. Because as children, we expect everything to be fulfilled by our parents. And then we grow it and we project it into the partner. So the partner is like everything. And that leads many times to codependent relationships, addictive relationships, okay, where a man, woman, or two partners would expect the other person to fulfill all of their needs and all of their wants. And that's a little bit of a fairy tale thing, the prince on the white horse. And what these people usually experience is that suddenly it's like the partner cannot fulfill something. Okay, they don't have a certain quality that they yearn for. And also they can, first of all, they can be okay with that, so they don't have to sleep with anybody else. Or they can say, listen, I love you very much. I want to be with you. You're the father of my children. And it's like, I want to, stay married with you forever. And also I want to have sex with this other man who has a totally different energy than you. Okay? And that can be okay. So acknowledge that both men and women many times have a desire and a yearning to express different parts of themselves with somebody else. And this is something that can be explored gradually. Don't just jump into it. It's like, oh, okay, we're opening the relationship. This happened a lot in the community I was living in, and I'm definitely been guilty of that. It's like, okay, together for 2 months, and then it's like, okay, free fall. So open relationships can be such a beautiful experience. Like, I found great lovers from my then girlfriend because she didn't find anybody that was, good enough for her. Like, we were living in a tantric community, but, it's like she was with me and nobody else was rising to the plate, if this is how you say it. So I literally got my best friends to have sex with her. Men who are loving, men who are great lovers, men who are conscious, men who had really strong spiritual practice, and men that I trusted and she trusted to make love with her. And also I watched my girlfriend being made love to in front of my eyes. Okay, and that was a very amazing experience and a very challenging experience. So yeah, and I'm not expecting anybody to have the kind of experiences that I had. I'm just saying that there is a big range of experiences that you can have. And if this thing triggers you and you feel like, if you have a lot of attachment and if you have a lot of jealousy, this is something to look at. What are you afraid of? What are you so unconfident in yourself that you can't let your partner explore? And also, if you're aware of the stuff, it's maybe a good idea to work on that, because I sometimes tell people, it's like, if your relationship is strong, it would last, it would persist. If your relationship doesn't have a strong, by the way, sometimes relationships needs, like it's like a flower, it's like a plant that needs, a protected environment. But I talked with this woman and she said, every year I ask myself, it's like, how am I doing? How am I feeling? And every year I find myself sexually unfulfilled. And a few months after she told me that, she left her husband and she connected with another man. And now she's sexually fulfilled. Okay, so she was with that guy for a few years. And after a few years, year after year after year after year, when she felt unfulfilled, she finally actually ended that relationship. And it wasn't over. It's not just about being sexually unfulfilled. Sexuality is a symbol sometimes for other aspects of life. So,
And like you said, and yeah, the beauty of open relationship too, like you said, like it's something about that triggers you and it's causing you some kind of like arising some shame or any kind of trauma in it. It's something that helps you to look deeper within yourself, and you're like you gotta ask yourself the question like, what really is going on? That's why I love this aspect of open relationship, the orgasmic experience, and the whole aspect of how sexuality itself. That was the main reason why I wanted to point out the two specific topic into sexual transformations, because sexual transformation is a whole journey that when we really allow ourselves to dive into it and explore, the one that we're connected the most is with ourselves, through our orgasm experience, through our open relationship. We're really learning more and more and more about who we are and what we need to let go, because that's when we're going to start learning to transcend any kind of trauma that we have in our life and transcend anything that is not part of our life anymore. So that's why I wanted to bring those two topics that maybe it seems like very disconnected, but they are connected, because themes of orgasms and open relationship freak people out. And until people don't truly understand that sexuality is a journey of exploration and discoveries of yourself, about yourself, and for yourself, they're not gonna really let go of what they need to let go to become the masters of their life. So I am so excited that you share all your wisdom, not all of it, but part of your wisdom with us today, Eyal. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and for being open and for so being delicious, like I say it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I want to share some resources with viewers, if that's okay.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, like, how can people want to know more about you and work with you, where they can go?
So the center for everything is Intimate Power. So intimate like intimacy, not like internet. Intimatepower.com. So that includes a lot of articles and videos and interviews. And the thing that I do is I share so much free content, which is sometimes better than people's paid content. So you can download a 70 pages sample from the book Orgasm Unleashed, and you can find links to the book on Amazon as well. There's two groups on Facebook, which are called Sexual Empowerment for Women and for Men. And you can just look for that, and I can send you the links. We can put it in the show notes as well. And these are very beautiful communities where I share resources and people support each other in the journey of sexual empowerment. So that's another resource that you can have. I have a lot of stuff for men as well, like ejaculation, like a free ejaculation control program as well. And what I would really invite people to do is to, especially if they have audiences of themselves, that my idea with the sexual empowerment movement is to get sexuality integrated into formal education, into coaching, into business, into personal development, into wellness. Okay, so really, it's like, help me get this information to the hearts and bodies of the people that need that. Okay, so if you are having your own tribe and your own channel and your own podcast or whatever, it's like, come to me and I'll be very happy to share that on your program and on your channel. And if somebody wants also my personal guidance, I actually integrate sexuality, creativity, and business. Okay, and there's a magical alchemical integration of those things. Because when somebody is more sexual, the creativity is flowing, and then they take it into their business and into their career. And I want to thank you for having me on, because it's thanks to you and people like you that are willing to have this difficult conversation, have a man talk about female sexuality, talk about open relationships and stuff. This is how we make change,
Yeah.
So gracias.
De nada, un placer. Thank you so much. Thank you. I honor you and I appreciate you for being here. So
thank you very much.
To all our amazing viewers that were here today live, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being part of this amazing community. And thank you for coming into Lucia Gabriela TV and be part of this amazing experience and journey that we are going through to be able to learn more about how to master our life, our sensuality, our sexuality, our relationship, and how to transcend all those emotional sexual traumas that we have experienced in our life. So if you are interested to learn more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you have any questions or anything that you want us to talk about, email us through YouTube, and we'll be very honored to answer your questions and also to bring amazing speakers and mentors like Eyal to our channel and answer those questions. And your questions are powerful and not just can help you, but also can help so many people that have the same question, but sometimes they deny themselves to question it. So I am so honored, and thank you so much for joining us. If you like, subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And here I am, Lucia Gabriela. You can check more about me at luciagabriela.com. And I see you there next time. See ya.